What's up, guys? This is CMRU.ca Sports. My name is Carlos Montesinos, and beside me is Dylan Clark. Dylan, how's it going?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you doing today, Carlos?
I'm doing really well. I appreciate that energy. Today, we're going to be looking at the Cougar sports team and their playoff runs.
We're also going to be taking a look at a Calgary ski jumper who was sad to see her beloved ski jump being torn down.
And Stu Blais is all fired up about the overpaid athlete, bad teammate, and a lazy manager. Time is running out for a piece of Calgary's Olympic history. Winsport announced that their plan to demolish the ski jump due to financial problems. Many have objected to the decision and worry about Calgary's Olympic legacy. Canada Olympic Park has not changed much since it held the 1988 Winter Olympics. Winsport has announced that they want to tear down the ski jump because of the maintenance cost. The jumps are no longer in service, and Canada's national team has no train elsewhere. The ski jumps would have needed an extensive renovation to get back to world-class standards. Two-time Olympic ski jumper Taylor Heinrich grew up in Calgary and spent much of her time training at COP.
It's very sad. So, like I said, it was my playground as a kid. All the generations after me skiing, not having that ability to go and practice and potentially go to the Olympics as a ski jumper representing Canada, it's definitely a disappointment.
There's an online petition to save the ski jumps. Over 12,000 people have signed it.
There's lots of attention on an Alberta Junior Hockey League team in southern Alberta. The Brooks Bandits are finishing up a historic season where they have broken many records. Scott Stimson has more on the story.
The Brooks Bandits have broken 6 AJHL team records this season. They have reset the record for most wins, points, consecutive wins, unbeaten streak, consecutive wins at home, and unbeaten streak at home in a single season. The Bandits can reset as many as 3 more records in their final 2 games. They can set a record for fewest losses in a season and own the record for longest unbeaten streak and most consecutive wins, including overlapping seasons. Head coach and general manager Ryan Papuano says that the team's consistency and depth is a major factor for this historic season.
I think depth. I really do. I think that we just have a group of guys that, regardless of what position they're in and who's out, we're the same group every night. Like I said, the self-motivation of the team. They don't have bad days. They don't have bad nights. We just go out and we've been varying degrees of good, and that's been pretty easy to coach.
Rookie defenseman Nick Hale is trying to soak in this historic run. It's something he has never experienced before.
This is definitely something new. I've never been on a team like this where everyone's bought into the same system and we're all kind of driven towards one common goal, so it's been pretty special.
He also enjoys being a part of history.
I don't know, I'm not sure if it's hit me yet, but I think just coming in every day and knowing that you're playing for something more and you're a part of something that's bigger than yourself, it's pretty special, and it definitely makes you want to get up in the morning and make sure you're coming to the rink ready to go.
The true test for the team is coming up quickly with the playoffs just around the corner. Bandits captain Nathan Plessy says the focus of the team is shifting to the ultimate goal.
It feels pretty good. I don't know, it's a good feeling, but right now we're kind of focused on making the right history at the end of the year, so that's winning the national championship. So,
Brooks Bandits will also be hosting the RBC Cup in May. A national championship at home would be the final, most important piece of history the team wants to capture. Scott Stimson, CMRU.ca News.
Now here's Carson with Carson Corner, keeping us up to date with everything in the sports world.
Here's Carlos. Welcome to Carson's Corner. I am your host, Karsten Jonker. We're going to jump right into a recap of Canadian teams in the NHL last night, starting off with the hometown boys, the Calgary Flames. The Flames extended their win streak to 7 games with a 2-1 victory over the New Jersey Devils. Flames captain Mark Giordano scored the game-winning goal. With that goal, Giordano joins Al MacInnis, Sergei Zubov, and Nicholas Lidstrom as the 4th defenseman in NHL history to record at least 60 points at age 35 or older. The Flames are now first in the West with a 7-point cushion between them and the second-place San Jose Sharks. We had an all-Canadian affair in Toronto with the Maple Leafs hosting the lowly Edmonton Oilers. As everyone predicted, the Oilers were torn apart, losing 6-2 behind a four-goal second-period outburst by the Leafs. Oilers goalie Mikko Koskinen gave up 4 goals on 16 shots and got pulled 5 minutes into the second period. Good news for Oilers fans, though. Koskinen is signed until 2022 with a modest cap hit of $4.5 million a year. Yikes. Rounding out the Canadian action last night, the Vancouver Canucks lost to the Colorado Avalanche 3-2 in a shootout. The streaking Carl Soderberg got the game-winning shootout goal, which put the Canucks at a 3-4-3 record in their last 10 games. Good news for Canucks fans, though. They play the Edmonton Oilers on March 7th. Heading over to the NBA, we had a very busy day in the association last night with 11 games taking place. Some big results from last night include the Milwaukee Bucks winning a wild one against the Sacramento Kings, 141-140 in overtime. Eric Bledsoe had a big night, finishing the game with 26 points and a triple-double. Golden State lost 126-125 to the Miami Heat, and finally the Portland Trail Blazers won 97-92 against the Boston Celtics. The lone Canadian team, Toronto Raptors, are back in action Friday, hosting the Trailblazers at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. The Premier League also had some midweek action this week, with both Liverpool and Manchester City winning their respective games. The two teams are neck and neck right now for first place, with Liverpool holding a 1-point lead over the Citizens. Many pundits are predicting this title race will go down to the wire, much like the 2011-2012 season, which saw Manchester City winning the league in the final minutes of the season. This has been Carson's Corner with Carson Jonker. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Kirsty, for that awesome sports update. Round 1 of the Canada West Varsity Volleyball Playoffs took place this past weekend. Keegan Bartram has more on what happened with our Cougars volleyball team.
With Metcalf serving, played by Mounter.
The Mount Royal Cougars volleyball teams played in their first round of the Canada West playoffs last weekend, with the men and women's clubs having some different outcomes.
The women headed out west to Langley, British Columbia to take on the number 2 ranked Trinity Western Spartans.
In Game 1, the Cougars dropped a close-knit first set 26-24 before falling behind 2-0 shortly after.
Jump serve goes to Gamache, and it's an
The ladies pushed back to win sets 3 and 4, forcing a 5th and deciding set.
Spartans capitalize. Here's Heppel, she's blocked. A one-on-one.
On match point, the Spartans' Avery Heppel blocked home the winner, giving Trinity Western the 1-0 series lead.
Over. And it's a block. Her first season with the Spartans, but she is a 4th year.
On Friday, the Cougars looking to respond and keep their season alive, but after another tight first set loss 29-27, it was all Spartans as they swept the game 3-0 and win the series in 2, ending the MRU Cougars season.
Over to Savannah Purdy for the win. Going off the block, it scores. Savannah Purdy, the Spartans rush the court.
Switching over to the men's side, the guys welcomed the University of Saskatchewan Huskies for the first ever playoff game on Kenyon Court.
Gieske has that attack played well.
Game 1 on Friday night had the Cougar fans roaring after a first set 25-23 win to take the early 1-0 lead.
That sent right back to the Saskatchewan side of the floor.
MRU would dominate the Huskies in sets 2 and 3, 25-16 and 25-10 to rout Game 1, 3-0.
By Frazier is met by Tyler Schmidt. Reeves over to Lang, and that's going to do it here at Kenyon Court.
On Saturday, the guys were ready to close out the series, but after taking the first set again, the Huskies bounced back with their first set win of the series. MRU retook the lead 2-1, and a Huskies service error on match point sends the Cougars off to the Canada West semifinals this weekend in Brandon. For CMRU.ca News, I'm Keegan Bartram.
Now, moving on from Cougars volleyball, both the men and women's MRU hockey teams continued their playoff journey over the last 2 weeks. Both teams with hopes in advancing in the Canada West Championship. Jordan Lee has more on the Cougars' playoff run.
The MRU men's and women's hockey teams were both traveling across Canada for playoffs these past 2 weeks. The Cougars women's hockey team took on the Saskatchewan Huskies in their first round. They dropped Game 1 by a score of 5-0, showing a slow start to the playoffs. They came out the next game and reversed the script and took Game 2 for a 3-0 victory. Zoe de Beauville made 19 saves for her first career playoff shutout. This evened the series at 1-1, setting up a wild game Sunday at Merlis Belcher Place. Sunday's game was 109 minutes and 50 seconds long. The game went into triple overtime with the game-winning goal coming off of the stick of Rachel Lundberg from the Huskies. The 2-1 loss ended the Cougars women's season, and the Huskies moved on to face the top-ranked U of A.
Now switching to the men's, they went to Vancouver to take on the UBC Thunderbirds.
The Cougars felt confident going into Game 1, taking the shots against the Thunderbirds 32-19, and ended up winning the game 4-2. Coming into the second game, though, the Cougars may have been overconfident, taking their first loss in the playoffs 3-1. Although in the third game of the series, the Cougars ended up taking it 5-2, which moved them to the semifinals to play the Saskatchewan Huskies. In Saskatoon, the Huskies dominated in shots 41-20, leaving the first game in a loss for the Cougars 5-1. In a do-or-die situation, the Cougars ended up beginning Game 2 by scoring 2 quick goals in the first period. The Huskies answered with a few of their own, though, making the final score 7-3 for the Huskies. The men's season would then end by the Huskies sweeping the series.
The Cougars are now in their off-season and are looking to come back next season stronger than ever. I'm Jordan Lee. This is CMRU.ca News.
Now let's send it over to Stu Blay, who is fired up about the world of sports.
Thanks, guys. Hello, everybody. I'm Stu Blay, and this is Stirring the Stew, the part of the show where I get to stir up the pot a little bit. First, let's head to the West Coast and take a look at LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James is probably the worst teammate in the entire NBA. He just doesn't know when to stop talking. With the Lakers' current struggles comes another quote from LeBron calling out his teammates for their poor play and lack of commitment to the team. If there wasn't a wedge in their locker room after he wanted to trade half them to the Pelicans for Anthony Davis, there definitely is now. He's just whining that the days of him carrying a bad team into the playoffs are over. And LeBron has been as about effective this year as Michael Jordan was when he took a year off to play baseball. The guy needs to take a step back and realize he's not playing that well, and blaming it on your teammates isn't exactly a recipe for success. I don't think we're going to see LeBron James in the NBA Finals for the 9th straight year, but hey, at least we got Space Jam 2 to look forward to. The NHL trade deadline was on Monday, and I'm not sure Flames GM Brad Treliving was aware. Treliving made one insignificant trade, then took a nap for the rest of the day, while Flames fans watched in terror as every other top team in the Western Conference made a big splash to bolster the lineup for a deep playoff run. But don't worry, Flames fans, you have 2 grizzled playoff vets in Mike Smith and James Neal, who are having career years. Oh wait, it's not 2012? I'm sure they won't get swept in the first round, though. Now on to the MLB. Colorado Rockies third baseman Nolan Arenado just got paid. The 28-year-old signed a $260 million contract on Tuesday. And now I think it's a good deal for the guy. He has 6 straight Gold Gloves, 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and 4 Silver Sluggers. He deserves to be the highest paid third baseman in the league. But I think it's the second highest third baseman, Josh Donaldson, who's getting the better deal. Guy's making $23 million a year to play 20 out of 162 games and then miss the rest with calf tightness. That guy's got it figured out, though. I'm Stu, and that's what really stirs my stew. Dylan, Carlos, back to you.
Thanks for stirring it up, Stu.
It's stirred all right. If you missed any of our stories today, you can check out CMRU.ca. This has been CMRU.ca Sports. I'm Carlos Montesinos.
And I'm Dylan Clark. Thanks for watching, everybody.